two issues. Number one, it gets dark in Tokyo right now around 4:30. So I don't get out until after 4:35 and it's always pitch black. Number two, I only, and I mean it, I only shoot Fuji Superior Extra 400. The reason? I don't really know the reason why. It's always been probably cost. Fuji, don't get me wrong, Fuji Superior Extra has been amazing to me. I've been shooting it for 5 years. Haven't really had many problems, but the only issue I have with it now is that I'm really, really bored of it. I don't know, been trying to be loyal, been trying not to sway, but I don't know, that's it. It hasn't been doing it for me recently. So, in the spirit of trying new things, I decided to go out and try and branch out and get away from Fuji. I was thinking about getting into Fuji Pro 400H, but you know, as everybody knows. So as I was weighing my options, I wanted to choose a film stock that A, was very reliable, B, could always count on day or night, especially at nighttime in the dark situations. And finally, if I had invested myself into Portra, I'd probably get great results, but I'd probably also have no money. I've also tried out Cinestill, which I love. I love Cinestill, I swear by it. I think it's amazing at night and even during day. But the problem with Cinestill out in Japan, hold on, let me Google it real quick. The problem with Cinestill in Japan is, number one, it's really hard to get. They don't really sell it. And secondly, it's ridiculously expensive. I can't even find Cinestill in 35mm format on Amazon right now, only 120mm format, and one roll is 25 bucks. Actually, Cinestill on Rakuten is $29 for one roll of Cinestill. So, as we're in the market for a new favorite roll of film, I decided to give this bad boy a try. This is Lomography's 800 color negative film, 800, Lomo 800. I didn't know this. I always had an image that Lomography was really expensive, but I purchased this at Yodobashi Camera, which is one of the main camera stores out here in Japan, for about 3,300 yen. That's about $32, $31 for 3 rolls of 35mm 36 exposure film. That's pretty good. That comes out to be just about 10 bucks per roll of 36 exposures, and I can do that. That's not bad. So I've put exactly 4 rolls through my trusty sidekick, the T3, and I think the easiest way to evaluate the film is to just look at the pictures that I've taken and kind of go over what I like and what I don't like about it and let you know my thoughts. For reference, for all these photos, I use the program automatic on the T3. Love the camera. Do I love its price point? Absolutely not. Am I still hurting? Yes, but that's another story. So, for this review, I went ahead and tested Lomo 800 in a wide variety of situations. These situations range from outdoors at night, indoors at night in low lighting situations, outdoors during the daylight, and finally outdoors during cloudy days. These 4 scenarios should give you the most comprehensive review, and honestly, this should give you like an idea of how it performs in any lighting situation. So obviously 800 film works best in low light. I mean, it's not as good as 1600 film, but it's better than 100, 200, or 400 ISO films. It captures more detail in the shadows, and that's why I like it. I shoot a lot of nighttime photography and also indoors. I've been looking for a great 800 speed film. Can't afford Portra all the time. Can't afford freaking Cinestill either, even though I want to, but can't find it either. Anyways, let's get into it. So the first section that we'll check out are photos captured at night outdoors. So these first images are captured of these cars along the street in Shibuya at night. It's really dark. There's not much surrounding lights. The only lights are kind of off this Christmassy lights. This picture of the Land Rover really works best for showing how it does in really low light situations. This street is barely illuminated, and when you look at it, it does a pretty good job of capturing all the detail. It's got a really nice glow and kind of hue to the image. If you notice on the bright street lights here, semi-bright, there's actually a bit of halation, which is kind of similar to Cinestill 800T. I dig that. I thought that was a great sort of unexpected feature of this film, and I really enjoyed it. It doesn't always show up. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the lights, but sometimes it does. I'm sure that has something to do with the frequency of the light. I thought it looked great. It's got more of a warmer hue to the photos, which I also like. Moving on. Here are a couple panning shots I took of this train that was going by. As you can tell, the colors in this are very green, which I dig. Again, the grain amount I quite like, especially at night. It's not overbearing. I think it adds a lot to the image. There's actually some streaks here as well from the halation, and I think it looks great. For reference, these images were taken from the street level, and there weren't many street lights. It was kind of just illuminated just by the inside of the train. Here are two of my buddies on the streets. This is also in Shibuya, and this photo is taken without flash. As you can see, the subjects are illuminated pretty well actually, and I was pleasantly surprised. There's a very, very good amount of sharpness to the image, and the grain is also not, again, not very overbearing, which is nice. The colors look awesome. Really happy with this one. This is the same photo or same situation, instead taken with the flash. And this is outdoors. And as you can tell, the flash, when it fires, it clearly illuminates and does really well to capture the subject. However, when you use a flash, obviously the background isn't as lit because the light hits the subject, returns, and doesn't hit the background quite as much. And you can tell that there's a noticeable difference between no flash and flash. I actually kind of recommend stay very still and shoot your photos at night outdoors with no flash. For the most part, they look awesome. This is one of my favorite styles. Again, another example of the flash outdoors. Here's another example of Yuka. Flash outdoors again. This is at the train station. This is a bit more illuminated situation. And finally, again, this is a close-up shot. This is outdoors at night with the flash. As you can tell, this recurring theme that when you use a flash, the subject or the whatever you're trying to capture is clearly lit, but the background is much, much more dark. And then finally, this is a shot of a ramen shop in Kamakura. And this was shot, again, with no flash, and this is the result. You can tell that there's a good amount of grain in the shadows. The reds look really nice in this one. Really, really happy with the reds in this one. So the next section of photos are gonna be indoor shots at night under essentially low light conditions. So the first few shots are taken in Pizza Slice in Tokyo. These have a obviously very distinct orangish, yellowish hue to all the images. This is probably due to the lighting situation inside the actual shop. The actual shop was very dimly, like this is exactly how it looked. It was really yellow inside. And I think it captures it pretty accurately. This photo of Alex, I thought was one of my favorites. I don't know, the overall feeling of the image was very nice. I think the film captured it very, very quite nicely. Moving on, here are a couple images of Alex and Jojo outside. These are my buddies outside Don Quixote. This is right in front of a store, but kind of like on the inside. This was exactly how it looked. It was very yellowish, and I thought the film performed quite well. Here are a couple images of my buddy Alex in a 7-Eleven. Again, you can actually notice the halations a bit here on the lights inside, but the overall look of the film looks quite nice. Here are a few photos inside during the day actually, but it was quite dark. This is inside a fish market in Shimonoseki. You can notice a bit of the halation in the lights. However, besides that, the film did quite nicely in capturing a lot of detail. I think the hue was fantastic in these. I like a bit colder images myself. This does quite well. Moving along, here are some images of my buddies during a pop-up event that my buddy was hosting in Shibuya. This is actually inside the Trunk Hotel. These first few images, I used the flash, fired the flash for the images, and I thought the photos came out quite nice. I think the colors don't miss, to be honest. They just don't miss. Like indoors with the flash, great colors. I have zero complaints about any of these images. Again, these are all with the flash. And now moving on, here are some images without the flash. This is my buddy Alice, he's DJing. Again, the inside of this area was quite yellowish, orangish, because they had like neon lights. They had some neon sides going on. No, but for the most part, I like the colors it gave off. I think it really, really captured it was quite accurate, which is surprising. Here are some comparisons of the film indoors with and without the flash. So these first ones I'll show almost the exact same image. This is my buddy Yoshi and Alex, and this is inside their pop-up event. The first image is without the flash, and you can tell it's quite the inside of this pop-up was quite yellow, so once again, quite accurate. But with the flash, the compensation, it looks quite nice, and actually you can notice there's a halation on the top here, which is actually pretty interesting. But I think the overall coldness, it's interesting. When you use a flash, the image comes out quite cold, and then when you don't use flash, it comes out quite warm, which is, it might just be the situation I was using it in, but usually when I take images, I kind of noticed this as I was shooting my first roll, and so for this roll, I purposely took a few with flash, without flash, so that I had more variation later. Moving along, we'll go into during the day, during a bright sunny day. So this is the area that kind of surprised me because I wasn't expecting this film to handle high bright situations quite well. I thought it looked kind of funky, but I was pleasantly surprised. These first few images are from Hofu Tenbangu, which is in Yamaguchi Prefecture. The lighting conditions, there were a few clouds, but it's blue skies, quite harsh, very harsh lighting conditions, and I think a lot of the images came out very, very nicely. One thing I noticed about these is that they're a bit cold, which I found interesting, but I didn't mind. Usually I like my images a bit warmer, but I didn't mind this coldness. Here's the flash used outdoors on Kai, and this is again during the day. And then finally, I'll go ahead and show you some images of, we went on a hike in Kamakura, and the lighting conditions, it was blue skies in the beginning, but it got cloudy as the day progressed. And so a lot of these images were taken when it was a bit cloudy. And so this is how the images performed, or how the film performed as the day was a bit cloudier than compared to the first set of images that I took. You can tell on a number of these, they're actually a bit warmer in the darker areas. And then when you get out into like pure daylight, it gets a bit bluer, a bit colder. So yeah, that was 4 different situations, 4 different scenarios of how the Lomography 800 performs in various lighting situations. As typically just a pretty casual user of film, I think this film was surprisingly really, really good. I would even go as far as to say that this is probably going to be my daily film from this point on. I think I might have to retire the Superior Extra 400 for the time being and solely shoot with Lomography 800. Now there are 3 reasons why I want to make this my daily film. The first is that I shoot most of my film at night or in low light conditions. The 400 speed film wasn't doing quite as well as I had hoped it'd be. I was super happy with the results from both inside at night, low light conditions, and then outdoors at night. I thought those 3 were really, really nice. I think additionally, the fact that it performed so well under harsh lighting conditions also gave me confidence in using this anytime, anywhere, any place, which I thought was very important when choosing a film. Clearly, this is not the most recommended way to choose your film. You should ideally choose your film for specific situations, places that you're going to, kind of lighting conditions that you're assuming are going to be at the places that you're going to shoot. A lot of times, however, you may not realize it, but you oftentimes, or at least I do, you leave your film inside your camera overnight and you don't just finish your roll in one day. I typically try to finish my film in 1 day or in 2 days because I'm just anxious and I'm not patient enough to wait to develop all my photos. But my brother has had 1 roll of film in his camera for like 3-4 months, which is crazy to me. And I think a lot of people, for the regular consumer, don't shoot 36 straight photos in 1 day. They take the camera out when they need to, when they want to take cool photos of their friends or at parties, for instance, or just outdoors at night in your day-to-day routine. And obviously you can't change your film once you put it in to adjust for your lighting situation, which is why I think it's very important to have a very good all-around film. This film checks 3 big boxes for me. Works very well in low light, works very well during the day, and most importantly, it's affordable. I premise this on comparing it to perhaps the Cinestill or the Portra. Obviously, Kodak Super Gold or whatever, Ultra Gold I think it is the cheapest, and there are a couple of Fuji ones that are very, very cheap. But I like the color and I like the performance of this film quite a lot. So yeah, at least in Japan, I can get this film. I think in the States this film runs for like 35 bucks, but in Japan it's like 30 bucks, which is not too bad for 3 rolls of 36 exposures. I think this is gonna be my new daily film, and I am pretty excited to take this baby into the family and show it my world. So yeah, I hope this helps. I know that sometimes when you read a lot of specs about films, blah, 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 you look on Instagram, you look at the hashtags, it's kind of hard to tell, but I hope this kind of helps show you the various conditions that this film is very good in, the uses for it, and it's pretty cost effective. I'm surprisingly happy with it. Anyways, make sure to stay tuned to my Instagram. It's at Gakuyen to see more photos taken on probably Lomography 800 almost on a daily basis. And also don't forget to like, comment some tips, some film tips, because I'm always interested. Comment some film tips and make sure to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I'll go ahead and try, and I would say I'd make more film reviews, film stock reviews, but I'm really, really happy with LOMO 800. So I'm probably just gonna take a bunch more photos, maybe do another review after I take more rolls, but 4 rolls in, really happy. Not bad, not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all.